This video is sponsored by LD Player. Play World Flipper on PC. With LD Player, you can both play World Flipper on your big screen monitor with better graphics, and enhance your gaming experience with the following features. You can have perfect game control with our preset keyboard mapping. You can also play your games with controller, gamepad after you directly plug in the device. You can also set up macros to automate certain actions in the game. We've placed a link in the description. Check it out. Today we're going to build a Thunder team centered around Inaho in World Flipper. Do note that this is only a sample team and is in no way the best Inaho team the game has to offer. We'll do our best to explain each unit and their skills as well as their synergies with each other. This Inaho team focuses on the fever mechanic. This team aims to keep fever mode active as long as possible. It requires a lot of 5 stars and limited units though, so it might be difficult to build. But don't worry, we will provide some budget alternatives. Inaho is a 5-star Thunder unit. Her leader talent increases Thunder units' attack power by 40% and increases fever mode duration by 30%. Her skill deals Thunder damage to the entire field but doesn't hit weak points. It also inflicts paralysis on all enemies for 10 seconds. Her first ability increases Thunder units' attack by 15%. Her second ability increases the fever gauge by 25 every time a Thunder unit activates a skill. Her last ability only activates when she is the main unit. It increases her attack by 200% during fever. Inaho provides a stable attack power buff without any conditions. We'll place Xmas Inaho as her subunit. Xmas Inaho is a 5-star light unit. She's not in the global unit pool yet, but her banner isn't that far away. Her skill heals the party by 10%. It heals for 50% HP on light units. It also fills the fever gauge by 42. Her first ability increases light units' attack by 15%. Her second ability fills the fever gauge by 30 when she recovers HP. Her third ability only activates when she is the main unit. It fills the fever gauge by 50 when a light unit's skill activates. Xmas Inaho provides survivability and a stable source of fever gauge fill. Soushiro is a 3-star lightning unit. She specializes in boosting the skills and abilities of the leader unit, in this case, Inaho. Her skill fills the leader's skill gauge by 30% and buffs attack by 120% for 15 seconds. Her first ability increases the leader's attack power by 20%. Her second ability increases the leader's attack power by 10% every time the main unit activates a skill. The maximum amount is 40%. Her third ability only activates when he is the main unit. It fills the skill gauge by 100% and buffs the leader's attack power by 10% at the start of the battle. We'll place Fora as her subunit. Fora is a 3-star Thunder unit. Her skill heals the party by 10%. It heals for 50% of HP on Thunder units. It also grants the party a regeneration buff of 90 for 10 seconds. Her first ability increases the HP of Thunder units by 6%. Her second ability increases the healing received by Thunder units by 8%. Her third ability only activates when she is the main unit. It increases a Thunder unit's attack by 5% when that Thunder unit recovers HP, maximum 50%. Fora's healing and buffing abilities greatly benefit the team. Xmas Inaho's second ability can be procced by her regeneration buff. We'll place Xmas Soushiro in our third main slot. He is a 5-star Thunder unit. His skill deals Thunder damage to struck enemies and it scales with the combo count. It also fills the fever gauge by 100. His first ability increases his attack by 30%. His second ability increases the fever mode duration by 20%. His third ability increases Thunder units' attack by 50% during fever mode, and fever mode duration by 20% when he is the main unit. Xmas Soushiro is a great support unit for Inaho. We'll place 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐒 Soushiro as his subunit. 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐒 Soushiro is a 4-star Thunder unit. He's also not in global yet. His skill summons a sack of presents that deal thunder damage to enemies hit. It also fills the fever gauge by 50. His first 2 abilities increase the fever mode duration by 30% combined. His third ability only activates when he is the main unit. It increases Thunder unit's skill damage by 10% for every 3 multi-balls. 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐒 Soushiro helps in filling the fever gauge and extending its duration. Here is our Inaho Thunder Fever team. Inaho is the leader of the party with 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐒 Inaho as her sub-unit, with Shosusu and 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐒 Soushiro at the front lines. Fora and 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐒 Soushiro will fill out the roster. Next, we will discuss alternate units in case you don't have these. Regis is a 4-star Thunder unit. His skill does thunder damage to the closest target. His first ability fills his skill gauge by 50% the first time he activates his skill. His second ability increases his skill damage by 30%. During Fever, the increase is 70%. His last ability only activates when he is the main unit. It further increases his skill damage by 30% and fills his skill gauge by 50% when Fever is activated. Regis can provide a lot of firepower during Fever mode. He can be one of the main units. Rams is a 4-star Thunder unit. Her skill does thunder damage to the nearest enemy and its surrounding area. It also does more damage when the enemy is paralyzed. Paralysis causes the boss to be unable to move or attack. Her first ability increases her skill damage by 50%. Her second ability further increases her skill damage by 30% every time the unit activates a skill. The maximum bonus is 120%. Her third ability only activates when she is the main unit. It increases the party's skill damage by 30% every time she uses her skill. The maximum bonus is 120%. Rams can be Regis subunit. She can further increase Regis firepower. Dia is a 4-star light unit. Her skill grants the party an attack buff of 75% for 20 seconds and fills the fever gauge by 45. Her first ability increases the fever gauge's duration by 15%. Her second ability increases the party's attack by 35% during Fever mode. Her third ability only activates when she is the main unit. It grants light units a regeneration buff of 180 for 5 seconds when entering Fever mode. Dia and Kuro make a great combination. Kuro is a 3-star Thunder unit. His skill does thunder damage to the nearest enemy. It also fills the fever gauge by 30. His first ability fills the fever gauge by 20 when he has an attack buff. His second ability increases his attack by 60% when he has an attack buff. His third ability only activates when he is the main unit. It increases Fever mode duration by 20%. 𝐃𝐄𝐒 is a 3-star Thunder unit. Her skill deals thunder damage around herself for 10 seconds. It also fills the fever gauge by 40. Her first ability fills the fever gauge by 25 when her skill activates. Her second ability increases Fever mode duration by 10%. Her third ability only activates when she is the main unit. It increases her attack by 120% during Fever mode. 𝐃𝐄𝐒 is a 5-star Lightning unit. Her skill deals thunder damage to all enemies and heals the party for 10%. It is more effective on Lightning units. It heals for 50%. Her first ability increases the healing received by the party by 5% every time her skill activates. The maximum is 25%. Her second ability increases her skill damage by 20% every time she is healed. The maximum is 100%. Her last ability only activates when she is the main unit. It fills her skill gauge by 40% and heals her HP by 20% every time she is revived. She is great for Necropolis content since she can heal the party. Here are the alternate units for our Thunder Fever team. Xmas Soushiro can be the leader this time. Regis can provide a lot of firepower, especially if you pair him with Rams. The rest of the units contribute to raising the fever gauge. Next, we'll talk about the recommended weapons for this team composition. Recommended weapons. Diva's Investigation. 5-star all-element weapon. Chapter 5 Clear Reward. Increases the fever mode duration by 5% and attack power of the party by 25% during fever. Red Demon Gauntlet. 4-star thunder weapon. Can be gotten from gacha. Makes it easier to break down the enemy by 375% if used by a thunder unit. Thor Hammer. 5-star thunder weapon. Labyrinth Collapsed Zone Thunder. Increases the damage to paralyzed enemies by 12.5% and break down damage by 15%. That's it for our Inaho Thunder Fever team. If you found this guide useful, consider subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to like and share as well. It helps us out and motivates us to make more videos for World Flipper. Watch out for more team building guides in the coming days. Have fun and we'll see you again next time.